the first kind of challenge or thing to be aware of is that there's no norm in terms of how countries view disabilities or challenges and then how they address them, so that families really have to do their own research. Depending on where families are going, it may be that there is a complete lack of options in a given location. That if you have, let's say, a child who is pretty severely afflicted with autism, it may be, depending on where you're going, that there are not ABA therapists who work in your native language or your child's language. And we'll come back to this, but I'm a big proponent of pre-decision support in terms of helping families do research so that they can make informed decisions. The other, and it's almost a little bit kind of the other end of the spectrum. So on the one hand, you have many locations where provisions are going to be very limited, but you also have, in some locations, as Deanna mentioned, many international schools now are for profit. They are businesses. And kind of in noting that the demand for special needs support has increased in recent years, there are schools out there that are adding on SEN programs for which they charge an additional fee. And so it might be, that your child who's in 5th grade, a company is paying $35,000 a year for enrollment, for regular enrollment, and then possibly another $20,000 for enrollment in a SEN support program. Many of those programs are generated through very good intentions, but they still should be vetted for families. We have seen instances where families going on assignment are promised the world in terms of the kinds of support their child is going to receive, only to feel that it is mediocre or even not as good as that. So that there is that kind of other reality that those programs out there should be carefully reviewed. So those are kind of, in terms of navigating the international scene, those are some of the specific earmarks of what families need to contend with. We also have to consider that in the context, the larger framework of support that these families have often put in place. So whether it's physical therapists, speech therapists, occupational therapists, behavioral therapists, services supplied by a district, families have fought hard and they've put a tremendous amount of energy into obtaining those services for their children. And it's not, and in addition, you may have things beyond that, like, you have a babysitter your child has known for years and loves and is comfortable with, or you have family nearby who helps you on weekends, whatever it might be. And families are giving up that framework. So all of which is to say there's a real need for families to be fully educated as they consider an international assignment.